I'm Luke Summerhaze.
I'm a rather ill James J. Miles.
And I'm James the Jaster Stewart.
And you're listening to Monster Mash.
And on this week's episode, we are hunting Nerscylla.
Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. They did.
The monsters are son of my bed. Get along with the voices inside of my head. You're trying to save me.
Temnocerans that inhabit the ice-shard cliffs. They weave vast, sticky webs across their territory, using them and various status ailments to corner prey before utilizing pincer-like jaws to finish it off. Sometimes dead Gypceros can be found in the webs, the hides of which Nerscylla are known to adorn themselves with after devouring the rest of the carcass.
I very nearly fell into the same trap as I did when we recorded our initial Nerscylla episode like 8 years ago, where I was like, what the fuck's a Temnoceran?
It's just a word.
Yeah, I was
for
thinking there, I was like, did I say
this.
anything about that?
Yeah.
Temnoceran, like, how
Nope.
do you say it?
I did when we had the initial read through many years ago.
Mhm.
Well, since then, we've had games with voice acting, so at least I know I'm pronouncing it right this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were not sure it was Nerscylla or yeah. Or whatever,
I was thinking of Temnoceran, but yeah, also. I think we
Oh.
were all very sure it was Nerscylla. And then we were like, yeah, I've seen some idiots online say Nerscylla, though. Ugh.
Yeah.
Morons. Especially one, Andrew Rice, was not very happy with those people.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Not known for,
Yeah.
for giving
good to have this
people he
guy
disagrees
back.
with, Andrew Rice.
In a new Monster Hunter game. Nice returning monster
Yeah.
for Wilds.
Yeah.
Well, because both, when Rise came out and we had a new spider monster,
Mhm.
I think there was a lot of like, oh, we're going to get Nerscylla, right? And then we didn't.
Yeah.
And then this game as well initially advertised a new spider monster. And we were like, hopefully we'll get Nerscylla, but I'm not getting my hopes up. But we did.
Yeah, I wonder
And
if
this
they
is the
thought...
one... I think this is the spider monster which most hits me as a spider.
Yeah, I distinctly remember, and that obviously I've listened back to our previous episode, that you were, which always surprises me, this fact that you're not fond of spiders.
Well, that's one thing that's really interesting, maybe more so to me than anyone else. In the 8 years between those recordings, my arachnophobia has massively decreased because
Oh,
I
good.
basically accidentally gave myself exposure therapy by the amount of hiking I do. So yeah, I couldn't even be in the same room as a spider. Whereas now I'm still not like, I wouldn't say I'm fond of them, but
Yeah, so
I
we
can
panic
handle
if you
a
see
spider
one
now.
scuttling along the floor, right?
no, I'm very good at, either leaving them alone or safely taking them out of the room so no one else kills them.
I'll leave
But, like, yeah,
them in
when-
novels.
When you've been climbing up in the mountains and you've literally had to like crawl under a spider web that extends across the entire path, like a little house spider doesn't really bother you anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas the line I remember when I re-listened to our old podcast was, if I lived in a world with Nerscylla, I would have throttled myself in the womb. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit less extreme now on the odd spiders.
I mean, to be fair though, it is a horrifying creature.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Not the big mandibles.
Since we
multiple
did,
mandibles. Like I think we spoke about that
yeah,
before. It's like
since
it's scary stuff.
we recorded our last episode, it turned up in the what was it, Legends of the Guild that animated one.
Yeah. Well, also the live action film, but it was barely Nerscylla. That was
Yeah.
just generic Hollywood spider monsters.
Yeah.
No, well, they were
Whereas it
Nerscylla,
was-
but like it was really.
They called them
redesigned.
Nerscylla, but it might as well have been the ones out of Harry Potter, right?
You see, I think that's where Wilds gets the idea of like the little baby Nerscylla. Added
Yeah.
in the
At least
fray
they
and
don't-
you fight it.
burrow out of your skin like.
Yeah. And I was going to say as well, like the part of that description that mentions obviously that Nerscylla like hunt Gypceros, like if you've seen their like turf war in Wilds.
I haven't
I
actually.
haven't.
No,
Like it's
I've barely
really good.
seen
Like
Gypceros in Wilds actually.
Nerscylla like wraps it up, like spins its web and like it starts to wrap it up, and then like the Gypceros like escapes by using his flash.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's such a cool. Like it's very short. Like I don't think they do much damage to it, or if it's maybe even classed as a turf war. But like it's a good interaction between monsters that you've only kind of
Nice.
seen in the background of
Well, yeah, because
previous games.
we've always been told they interact, but this is the first time they've been in one of the games
Mhm.
where monsters actually interact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a fun little thing you can do, like in the Ice Shard Cliffs, like in Nerscylla's like nest area where there is Gypceros like hanging up, like in a big web. Like you can actually use your hook shot and poke the hanging Gypceros, and it kind of swings back and forth.
Oh, that's fun.
Do you get anything for it, or is it just a...
No, you don't get anything. It's
Cute.
just a neat, like a little interaction between the hook shot and
Neat's
In the environment.
the better word. I was about to say cute environmental moment, and I don't think cute's the right
Yeah,
word.
cute's maybe not the word.
Neat, sure. Yeah,
As
the
a
fight, to be
fight-
honest,
I think it still does everything it used to do,
yeah,
but fighting Nerscylla used to be, it's so maneuverable that it's kind of, it must be what it feels like to fight Spider-Man for a normal goon. Whereas at this point, we're also so maneuverable that it doesn't feel as tough as it used to, I think.
it would have been a really interesting fight in Rise. Like
Mm.
us
oh yeah,
both
like
swinging
wire
around.
Both of
like,
us swinging around,
admin
yeah.
webs, yeah.
Yeah.
It has its little moments.
Yeah,
like,
I think-
there is like neat parts where it does the normal kind of web swing, and it clearly tries to like get behind you and attack you.
Mm-hmm. But I remember fighting it on like Generations on the 3DS when it did shit like that.
Yeah,
It really could get behind me and then stun me and then get me with those big ass mandibles. And
it's
it
just the
felt like
nature of Wild, right? With
Nerscylla
its
felt like the
360 movement and aiming your weapon any way you want.
Yep. Being able to jump on the sacred at short notice or pretty much dodge out of anything. Very different
think-
experience.
The fact that we are a bit more maneuverable, and this could just be pure confirmation bias, but it feels like they are more aggressive with the little stinger jab, like especially when you're underneath them. Like it will just seem to do that with not a lot of warm up time. So I've found like I've quite often been jabbed by that just in the middle
Yeah,
of a
out of
combo,
sleep.
and then you're hopefully going to get nudged by one of your friends to get woken up because inevitably you've forgotten your energy drinks from your
I was going to say, like,
Um,
you don't pack constantly always have energy drinks on me. Like, I've been that way since, like, 3 Ultimate, I think.
I think I've
Yeah,
ever
I
had
think-
energy drinks on me.
Well, like, it got ingrained in me in 3 Ultimate because, like, obviously underwater, you can't eat your steaks underwater, so you needed energy drinks.
Right, you
just
can't
like
eat a
ever
steak
since
underwater, but you can drink a Monster. Everyone knows that.
then.
Yeah, I just got a little straw.
No, don't use straws underwater. It kills turtles.
There's no turtles in
Straws
Monster.
do. Like, nets. Surely. Are more dangerous.
I don't know. Plastic straws apparently kill something.
I really like the Nerscylla. I was going to say the Nerscylla armor. Like I forgot how good a design it was. I speak about it briefly in the hunt, but yeah, really really cool.
It's really cool, but it's also like, yeah, there's always a thing that the insectoid or arachnoid monsters have sort of robotic cyber feel to their armor. Like, I don't necessarily think it looks much like Nerscylla. I do think it looks very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it makes you look like a Gundam.
Yeah, like a Gundam, or like I was saying before, like a sort of Kamen Rider. Oh, I guess
Yeah,
Kamen Rider is
yeah.
bug-based, so that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, that could genuinely be the inspiration.
That
right?
might be why they all look like that, yeah, the insect ones.
Yeah. Solved.
But that's just a theory. A game theory.
I feel like the weapon designs, like the weapon designs under Scylla, at least have like more of a kind of spider element to them, even though they do kind of tend to mesh quite well with the armor design as well.
Yeah, not quite as much as Lala Barina
Yeah,
or... I've completely forgotten her name, the bridal one from Rise.
Raknakadaki.
Right,
That's it,
Nakadaki.
Because they had the webs much more, like, in the monster design, there's a lot of web elements to their armor and their weapons.
Mm.
Although, speaking of armor, I guess Nerscylla wearing Gypceros skin, as well as sort of being a horror element and giving her sort of a shrouded look, it is sort of a dark mirror of what the Hunters do,
Yeah,
which is something Monster Hunter has tapped into a couple of times, like the final boss of
Atlokar.
Generations and Generations Ultimate.
yeah, Atlokar.
Yeah, Atlokar dressing itself in sort of the ruins of a human city. And
The Carcos.
Nikakos, yeah, being covered bones.
I think what I like about the Nerscylla wearing the Gypceros is the fact that it changes its elements.
Yeah, tweak your
Like,
lightning if you get
because-
rid of the skin. Well, this
Correct,
is finally the game you can take advantage of that, I guess. 'Cause
Yes,
you
I
can
was
pack
about
both
to mention that.
weapons. I wonder if that
Which-
even factors
cool.
into their decision to bring it back.
Could be. I mean, perhaps they thought. I wonder if they, because I think anytime Gypceros turns up, Nerscylla will, and vice versa.
And vice versa,
So I
yeah,
wonder-
absolutely.
I wonder which one they thought we need to include first, and then thought, well, if we're including that, we have to bring the other one along.
I would assume Nerscylla, just because it's a much more of an, I feel like, effort to get Nerscylla working in the game. So then it's easy
Yeah.
to be like, so we'll throw Gypceros in there. Whereas I feel like making Gypceros then being like, oh yeah, we'll throw in this really complicated spider monster that involves putting a whole web area in the map that has a completely almost unique skeleton.
Got to make little small monsters for the hatchlings. Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, they did bring Yankatku back, so maybe that was why they brought Gypceros back.
Very similar. Yep.
Yeah, both first generation monsters as well.
But we'll never know. So, Gypceros predates Nerscylla though, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's Gypceros.
yes, 'cause-
Gypceros
Yeah,
is
yeah.
first
He's
generation.
like-
He's in the first game.
Yeah, and then Nerscylla didn't show up till 4, but now they feel inextricably linked. So that's a really good bit of monster design, I guess.
Yep.
On the older games, the sort of the Gypceros shroud just, didn't really have like a texture to it. I would often say it looks kind of like an emo haircut on the Nerscylla. Whereas now it looks properly leathery, like you can see that it's wearing a skin. It looks
Yeah,
much
I
more
wonder if like
now.
the Nerscylla thinks it looks good in the older game. Like when it's like putting on its Nerscylla.
Well,
Gypceros
maybe
hat.
to a Nerscylla it does. Maybe like to the male. I don't know what gender this one is, but to whatever the other gender is.
It's like I'm having a bit of that. I'm all set to go out dancing tonight.
Yep. I mean, leather's one of those things you can only wear confidently.
Where would you say
Hmm.
Nerscylla stands for you compared to the other spider monsters we've had?
Like I said, I think at the start of this podcast, it captures Spider the most for me. Like it does the sort of Shelob sting with its tail, wraps you up in a web. Its Spider-Man swings. And like its movement and design is the most like, ugh, that's a horrible big spider. Whereas like, I love Lala Barina for, it's like a beautiful creature.
Yes.
And Raknakadaki was like tapped into a lot of spider yokai stuff. So I think they've done a good job of, although there are 3 spider monsters, they all do
distinct.
very different stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my
Um,
take as well.
But yeah, in terms
Yeah,
of which one's
I think-
my favourite, I probably would give it to one of the 2 newer ones. But I think it's sort of a moot point to compare them.
I think I'll
They're so
lean more
different.
towards Nerscylla, but that's maybe a little bit of nostalgia for you.
Mm.
Like I think just
No,
like
as
you
I
said,
remember it-
it's closer. Like the other ones are like so different, and like you were saying, like this is so close, so much closer to like an actual spider. I think it's got to take it for that alone.
Whereas I think that's
Not
why I
that,
didn't
not that
like
the other ones are
before you
bad. Like
days.
Lalabarina's like so good, such a good.
Yeah,
new
I think
monster.
Lalabarina would be my favourite. But then, I'm also a big weeb, so I do like all the Arachnikadaki stuff. The other thing that came up re-listening to the old episode, it was right around the time, talking of Shelob, that Shadow of War had come out,
Yeah.
and it had Shelob as a sexy lady,
Yes.
and I joked that I was going to make sexy lady Nerscylla my character in Monster Hunter World, which I did. When I first played through that game, before I left the UK, my character was sexy lady Nerscylla. So I'd given her like pale skin, purple hair, done like a little bit of face paint and stuff.
Terrified the handler when your mandibles erupted from your mouth.
Yep. What's the one from Mortal Kombat with the weird mouth?
Melina.
Yeah. I Melina the handler every now and then. Were you about to ask if there's anything on the name?
Yes, name and
Oh,
weapon names, anything like that.
I didn't
I
get
want
anything on
some
weapon names, but the names themselves. Luckily, this is from back in the era when we would get explanations of where the names come from, and it's
That's
a
right,
combination
on the old-
of Nurgle, the Mesopotamian god of plague and war, and Nerscylla, which is the scientific name for the orb weaver spider.
Huh.
Yeah, back on the Capcom Unity blog, they would actually explain where the names came from.
Yep. Those the good old days.
I was just looking at them in Wales there. Like you've got this like immolator blade for the great sword, the Nerscylla for the sword and shield. Like
I like the
That's
Nerscylla,
pretty fun.
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Nerscylla is the nickname Nerscylla tried to give itself in high school. Well, last time we talked about it, we didn't have a small monster to go with it. But we now do have the Nerscylla hatchlings.
Yes.
Which really are just like visual busy work. They don't really add anything to the fight. Like they're not really doing any damage. They're not like
It
being
feels like
flung
that,
at you like Arachnikadaki's ones were.
What I feel like they maybe added that like kind of last minute either because of in reference to the Monster Hunter film, or just to kind of show either that or to show off like with like adding more hit stop in the game that people were complaining before the game came out. They're like, you want hit stop, do you? Like just hit all these hatchlings and you get a bunch of dopamine rush right to your brain.
Well, the other thing is, you're in like theoretically its nest,
Mhm.
so it does make sense there should be a bunch of baby ones there.
Yeah.
So I think it might have just been an element of they wanted to make it more part of this sort of living world, and also when you're down in this big spiderweb cave, there's not a lot going on. So if they want the game to be full of life and movement and interaction, they had to chuck something down there. But yeah, they definitely feel sort of an afterthought because they don't really do anything.
An easy way to farm monster fluid.
Yeah, you end up killing 100 of them by accident while you're trying to fight their mum.
Yeah.
They're collateral damage. Well, Joe, you already know what's next because it horned in on the last hunt.
It did. It rudely wanted to interrupt. But yeah. Next time, I can't think of a pun. or a joke. So join us for Herdabami. I have run out of energy. I am so unwell. So please, Luke, take us home.
So,
Well, if you've enjoyed this podcast, you can go to Blue Sky at Podcast. Please get in touch. Let us know you're enjoying it. Please head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening. Give us 5 stars and a rating and a review. Or on YouTube, you can like and subscribe. If you've got friends who are playing Monster Hunter Wilds, please tell them about the pod. And you can find the other shows we make by going to podcastius.org. And if you really like the show and you want to help keep it online, you can go to patreon.com/podcastius, where by donating just $1 a month to help pay the bills and keep the things uploaded, you can listen to episodes as soon as I'm finished editing them. And because we record the podcast and the hunt at the same time, we are always recording 2 weeks at a time. So this one always ends up being well in advance on the Patreon.
Yes.
Mass was complaining that he's going to have to wait ages for the next episode because he's already listened to like 6.
that's creating his own problem there.
I know.
So what you should do, listeners, is if you have fallen into that trap, is go listen to all the other amazing podcasts we have there.
Well, absolutely. Like Luke Loves Pokemon, The Game Show, Films and Filth. The other ones Matt does that we're not on as much. Me and Jay are on that one episode of that Twilight Zone one. I'm on a bunch
We
of
are.
episodes. Bye!
Cheerio.
Fare thee
Perfection.
well.